You can make all of these film emulations straight on your iOS device and make your iPhone footage and photos look much more cinematic. Dehancer Mobile App. Let's review that. Dehancer is hands down the best film emulation plugin with dozens of parameters and unique instruments, and before that it was only available on desktop programs, but now we have the power of Dehancer under the fingertips of your iPhone or iPad. As for now, Dehancer Mobile is available only for iOS devices and Macs with M1 or M2 series of chips. But as Dehancer team secretly told me, the Android version is being at early stages of development. The mobile version of Dehancer has almost the same full capabilities as the desktop version, and it is not missing any crucial tools. And also, the mobile version is much cheaper than the Pro desktop version, and it has 10 trial videos or photos that you can export to try it out. The prices are not the same in different regions, so check it out in your app store. So now let's have a look at different Dehancer tools and edit a couple of photos and videos with it. At first, I'll be using my M1 Pro MacBook Pro to kind of imitate the iPad. So you'll be seeing my mouse, my cursor, and it'll be easier for you to understand where I push and press. But after that, we'll edit some pictures or video on the iPhone 14 Pro Max as well. So guys, welcome, here it is. This is how it looks on the iPad, but now I'm working on my MacBook, as I said. So let's pick a photo. So here's the photo, that's me and my wife in St. Petersburg. Pretty moody, pretty dark and cold photo, and I want to make it look like it was shot on film, but not on the iPhone, with this flat skin, over sharpened look and all that stuff. So here we have the presets, and as you can see here we have the original photo, 12 megapixels, iPhone 13 Pro Max, and now we can choose some different presets by the Dehancer team. As you can see, they are very much different, and you'll need to go through those presets to pick the best one you want for such scene or for a different scene. So you'll be just able to scroll through all of those, and if you love some preset, for instance this one, you can double tap on it and it'll make a favorites list. And if you love this type of preset, you can simply export this file. As you can see, I have 6 exports left on the trial version, but I don't want to do so. As for now, I don't want to use any presets, I want to do everything manually. So here's the original image, and let's go to edit. By the way, here we have the previous setting, so you can choose a picture right here. But guys, unfortunately, you cannot edit multiple images. You can only edit one image or one video at a time. So here's the original image without any corrections, and let's go to edit. The first thing you need to do is go to films and to pick the film stock. So here we have different film stocks. One tap and you'll pick the film stock like so, like so, like so. You can also go through those, but I'll be using my favorite one. So here it is, Fujicolor Pro 400H. Let's pick this one. And as you can see, guys, here we have push and pull EV. So this means we have underexposed the film itself, and this means we have overexposed the film itself. On this film in particular, it's not as pronounced, but if we take a look at another film, for instance this one, you can choose underexposure or overexposure or push and pull, and you can see the difference right here. And different film stocks react differently for over and under exposure. And by the way, guys, all in all, you have more than 60 real film scans and emulations in Dehancer Pro, which is really great. So my favorite film right here is, at least for this scene and this shot, is Fujicolor Pro 400H. So we've chosen the film stock. Now let's choose the push and pull value. It's getting a bit cool when we underexpose the film, and it gets a bit warmer when we overexpose the film. So I like this variant, this option better. Then I suggest go to source, and if you have something to correct in your source image, like exposure, no, like so, no, or temperature, you want to make it warmer or cooler, you can do so as well, or you can change the tint of it, so magenta and green right here. And also diffrange is getting rid of chromatic aberrations, but there are none, so that is why we keep this at 0. Then we go to Vignette. I know it's not logically correct because Vignette is the last one, but I do prefer to use Vignette beforehand because it changes the exposure a lot. And by the way, guys, as you can see, this blue dot means that you have applied the effect. So we tap once, there is no effect. We tap one more time, and the effect is applied. So I suggest you do like so feather to 0, then pick the size, for instance, this is okay, then choose the exposure, maybe like so is good, and then turn back the feather. And you can also change the aspect ratio. Let's do it like so, size is a bit bigger, and feather. Yeah, like so. So here it is without the vignette and with the vignette. So the next thing we're going to do is go to Develop tab. In this tab, we can develop the film, kind of emulate developing the film with different chemicals, and we have here the contrast boost. So as you can see, we can choose the contrast ratio of it, and you can tap right here to see the histogram and to see the under and overexposed values. For instance, the blue ones are underexposed and the red ones are overexposed. Let me say something like this is okay because I don't need the detail in my black jeans. So let's turn it off. Yeah, it's pretty much okay, at least to my eye. I do like the contrast right here. Also, we have the gamma correction. Let it be like so. And as you can see, we have color boost. It's doing something like vibrance in Lightroom, but in a bit different way. It's doing it better, in my opinion. And yeah, it looks pretty natural, at least to my eye. Then I suggest you go into print, and you can also print or kind of print this look onto a glossy paper by Kodak or onto another film, and look how the image changes. So I would say I'll go with Endure glossy paper. Yeah, at least to my eye, it looks great. Here is linear, so without any print, it's pretty boring and flat. And with this print on glossy paper, it looks more contrasty, more natural. So then we can also work with exposure. You can change the exposure value. It's pretty simple. Then tonal contrast. It's kind of a contrast tool, but it acts in a different way. So it adds contrast differently. You can watch Pavel Kosenko video, the creator of Dehancer, and he explains how it works in particular. So then we have the classic saturation. And then color density. Pay attention to our skin and also to this kind of rusty part of the roof. So here it is, like so and like so. So let's zoom in, double tap on the image and you'll be zooming in, or you can just pinch to zoom. So here is without color density and here is with color density. So it kind of adds color to special also colors or areas. So for instance, right here, without color density, with color density, it more acts like for skin, let me say, skin and reds and oranges. So let's go back, and you have the analog range limiter, which limits your dynamic range for analog kind of film and retains the contrast on a good level, so it's not over contrasty. Yeah, looking pretty good. Then I suggest going to compression tool, and as you can see, with and without compression, we have some difference in the sky. So basically, let's turn the impact to 100. You can change the white point, as you can see right here on the sky. So let's make it not blown out, like so. Then the tonal range, it's acting like HDR look, so you can see something like HDR is being applied. I would say something like that is going to look okay. And also the color density as well. So you can play around with this here as well. So, and let's make the impact not that strong. Something like this will be fine. Then we'll go to expand. Here we can work with our black point, which is okay in my opinion. Also with the white point. And you can change the color mode to Luma, but it's not doing a ton, so you can just leave it as it is. Then we go to color head. Color head allows you to work with special colors like we do it with real film. So here we have the yellow and blue slider. So if we think that it's not too cool or not too warm, we can add yellow, for instance, like so. I can also say that I have a bit too much red in this image. I want to make it a bit more cyan. And also the magenta in the skin is a bit distracting. Let's make it a bit more green. Yeah, something like that looks more natural and more filmic like. So without color head, with color head. So it's getting a bit better, at least in my opinion. So it's all creative decisions made by yourselves, guys, so don't pay too much attention to what I'm doing. It's just my personal preference. I do think that it looks better because of my eyes. You can also work with shadow stones, so you can add some cool and more warm colors to the shadows only. Let it be like so. Then to the midtones, let them be a bit less warm, and to the highlights, I also want them to be a bit cooler, like so. And if you press and hold, here is the before, like iPhone shot it, and here is after, like we did, just as for now, without all the tools of the Dehancer. Now let's get to the most famous thing, the film grain, which is much better than any film grain I've seen on any film emulation plugin, because it has a special certain algorithm, and it kind of reassembles the image from the grain, if you understand what I mean. So here we have the negative film, and also we have positive film. It's less grainy, less big, and I do like the positive film a bit more. I would prefer to make the amount a bit better. You can also change the size of it, let it be not that big. Let's do it like so. Also here we have the film resolution, so when it's on 100 we have all the over sharpening of the iPhone going on and only the film overlay on top. But when we lower the resolution, we can see that the image is getting a bit softer, reducing the over sharpened look of the iPhone, and I love this feature. I would use this plugin only for this feature if I had to. So as you can see, we can also change the value of the shadows noise, so let it be somewhere here, for instance. So maximum grain on the shadows and no grain on the shadows. Let's keep it at middle. Also the midtones, where the skin tone is, like so, to the 0. As you can see, we have almost no grain and we have a lot of grain. So let's give it something like this. And also the highlights, as you can see right here. So no grain, a lot of grain. Let it be a bit less. And also the color, you can see the colored noise, or it can be less colorful. Let's keep it in the middle. So here it is, full screen, without and with, without and with, and then zoomed in like so, without and with. You can see that the face is looking much more natural, not that over sharpened, not that plasticky. The skin is looking much better in my opinion with the grain. So here it is. Then we'll apply halation effect. As you can see, we have different red kind of outlines, or it looks like chromatic aberrations, but these are not chromatic aberrations. These are the effects of the film, because the light reflects from the red layer of the film. I talk about it in my several videos about Dehancer. You can watch them afterwards. And by the way, if you like the content you're seeing right now, guys, hit the like and subscribe buttons and the notifications bell. I highly appreciate it. So what halation does, it adds to contrasty lines this glowing red effect. It's a bit overkill for this image, so let's tweak it a little bit. So amplify tool just amplifies the level, the amount of halation right here. So let it be something like this. The source limiter limits the amount of halation. Then we can adjust the smoothness so it's not as harsh. So as you can see, it's getting smoother. And here it is, like more pronounced. We can also see this effect right here. So let's add some smoothness, and it's just a little bit of glow right here. So let's turn it back a little bit like so. Then local diffusion is this part. You can see local diffusion. It locally diffuses more this part of the image. Let it be like, I don't know, something like this. And global diffusion allows you to see the redness and the warmth in the whole picture. So it's getting this kind of faces, and overall the image is getting more red. So it adds a little bit, just a tiny bit of red to all of the image. And a lot of really good movies like Catch Me If You Can or some Tarantino movies, they all have this effect applied, and the skin tone looks a bit more red. So yeah, I do like this. Also, you can change the hue. Let it be a bit more yellow. Let's make amplify. So it is more yellow or it is more red. Let it be some here, a bit more yellow. Let's do like so. Also the blue compensation, so you can see it's getting a bit warmer when we add this, and also the impact for the whole image. So yeah, amplify is a bit too strong. Let's do it like so, and a bit more smoothness. So yeah, here it is. So without halation, with halation, without halation, with halation. Yeah, I do like this result. So once again, without halation, with halation. If you don't like too much red in your image, you can also adjust it with color head that we used before. So you can basically just dial in a bit more cyan color and you'll have less red color. So let's get back to halation, and I want to amplify it a little bit more, just a little bit, like so. Yeah, like it. So let's turn it off to see the effect of bloom. So let's turn on the bloom. So look at my hair and overall the edges. Here it is off, here it is on, off, on. It makes my skin and my wife's skin kind of glow a little bit, and it acts like a pro mist filter of some kind. It's not exactly is working like a pro mist filter, and I've compared it to the real pro mist filter in one of my videos. You can check the link in the description below. But all in all, what it does, it's adding a little bit of softness and this light glow. So let's amplify it. As you can see, it's also reducing the contrast a little bit. We can add it to highlights like this. You can also use the source limiter. You can preserve the details. You can add diffusion. Let's make impact by 100. You can change the diffusion values. You can save lights. As you can see right here, it's doing a pretty huge difference. Also act with the saturation of it, but all in all, let me say that I do like it. Something like this is okay. So here it is, before and after, a bit too much before and after, and overall on the image with here, the difference. Yeah, you see that? So here it is with bloom, here it is without. So it's too harsh, too contrasty, but with bloom, it's getting much better. Let's turn it down just a tiny bit. Yeah, and let's turn on halation. So right now we have all of the settings turned on, the vignette is already on, and here it is before and after, before and after. Let's get a bit closer. Here it is before, pretty digital image by the way, and here it is after. You can also tweak this image a little bit. You can change the exposure value if you do want to do so, or you can add some temperature differences, like a bit warmer, a bit cooler. It's okay. But all in all, I've shown you all of the instruments, all of the tools of the Dehancer Mobile, and now let's make a little test on the iPhone 14 Pro Max and edit a video with the Dehancer on the iPhone. And guys, here we are with the iPhone, the same Dehancer app, but for the iPhone. And as you can see, I've already done some work with it with my iPhone. And here it is, some shots from Morocco, shot on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, but I do love those shots. And I'll be showing you those shots edited with the Dehancer on the iPhone right now, before and after. And also let's pick this video. It's my wife walking somewhere in Morocco. It's in the city called Essaouira, and I love this city so much. So we have the same presets pack, so you can just scroll through presets and look around and have different feelings about your image, and just judge by yourself if you do like it. For instance, this Kodak Air Color preset is super good, and I can export it. You can export in 1080p if it was shot in 1080p, because it's cinematic mode of the iPhone 13 Pro Max. But if you shot in 4K, you can also export in 4K. But the export takes some time because it's a cell phone, basically a smartphone, not a super strong and powerful computer. So you'll have about 5 minutes of render time for about 30 seconds of 4K 60 video, something like that. And then I'll be going to original, and I want to edit just by myself. So you have all of the same tools. So you can go to films, you can pick the film you like, for instance, this one. Yeah, it looks pretty good to me. You have the source, all is the same. Developer, compression, expand, print. You can print on different films or on a glossy paper like we did before. You can change the exposure values, you can change the tonal contrast, you can change the color density. So all of the same tools are right here on your iPhone. It's just a bit easier for me to work on the computer or on the iPad, just a bit bigger screen, but you can do pinch to zoom in, you can play it back. It's not super fast because we have some things going on, but it does play back, at least before we apply film grain. With film grain, it's getting a bit stuttery because film grain is putting huge load on the CPU of your phone. So we have halation, we have bloom, and all of the effects. You can push and check before and after right here. You can add the vignette, you can add the film breathe and also the gate weave. So it adds a little bit of shakiness, like if you were watching this film from a real projector, but I don't use those too often. So it is the same as the version I've shown you just on the computer or on the iPad, and it does have all of the features of the full desktop version of Dehancer, and that's what's beautiful about this iOS app. To conclude, if you enjoy the filmic look and you want to have precise control over your images and video, Dehancer Pro for iOS is a no-brainer for reasonable price. If you want to learn more about making your iPhone's footage look more filmic-like and cinematic, watch my video breakdown of how I color grade a travel video with Dehancer. See you soon guys, take care, bye.